I remained frozen in the front yard of my home as if attempting to grasp what had just occurred. Bleach flowed from my once immaculate charcoal suit, an expensive garment I had been saving months to afford. In the foreground of my vision, the fabric began to bleach, streak as white blotches spread like rot. Standing across the street, Karen Westfield, the president of our HOA, stormed off with her fists clenched around 2 empty bleach bottles as trophies. Her face twisted into a rage I couldn't even begin to understand. "This isn't Wall Street. You're not better than us," she screamed, her voice echoing down our quiet suburban street. Behind curtains, I witnessed neighbors looking over blinds, too afraid to intervene, but definitely watching. My thoughts raced. I'd worked for years to build my tech consultancy from the ground up, surviving on next to nothing and grinding through 80-hour weeks. I'd only moved into Lakeside Estates 3 months ago. Buying this house had marked the culmination of that effort, a reward for years of relentless sacrifice. At first, the neighborhood looked perfect. Neatly manicured lawns, friendly faces, and a convenient location a walking distance from my clients downtown. But I hadn't counted on Karen Westfield, or the iron grip she had over the HOA. From the beginning, she seemed fixated. I'd see her lurking behind her porch as I was on my way out to work, dressed up, briefcase in hand, presentable for my executive and investor meetings. During week 2, she chased me at my mailbox. "You know, most of us here dress down," she said to me, her smile strained and fake. "Suits make you look like you think you're better than everyone else." I'd rolled it off tactfully. "It's just my job. I work with CEOs and investors. The suit is part of the deal." But I could see it in her eyes. My explanation only confirmed her worst suspicions. Things quickly got out of hand. 2 weeks later, I received a notification saying that I'd violated a neighborhood dress code policy. I went and looked at the HOA bylaws. No such policy existed. Then came the anonymous complaint letters implying that I was disruptive and elitist. I knew whose hands those letters had gone through. Soon enough, Karen began scheduling surprise property inspections every time I was heading off to work. She'd whine about absurd violations. My grass was half an inch too high, my mailbox wasn't standard, or my cans were out for 15 minutes past pickup. I fought every fine without cost, but it just seemed to anger her more. Despite the harassment, I tried to remain nice. I was taught to be a high-road individual. A few neighbors confided in me that Karen was always on a power trip. No one had the guts to confront her, though. Her husband was a successful businessman, and Karen had no qualms about threatening lawsuits against anyone who disagreed. Then there was the breaking point. Last Tuesday, I was caught in my driveway by Karen. Her face was flushed, her tone venomous. "I'm sick of seeing you prancing around like you own the world," she lashed out. "No one needs to wear a 3-piece suit in a residential neighborhood. Stop showing off." I was calm. "Karen, what I wear to work is none of your concern. The HOA rules do not address personal attire." She didn't answer, just glared and then walked off in a huff. I should have known something awful was about to go down. Today was important, high-level investor meeting. I'd been gearing up for weeks and splurged on a brand new navy blue suit to impress. I went outside with my briefcase, feeling pretty good. Then I heard her voice. "You just don't listen, do you?" I spun around to see Karen standing by my car, shaking with anger, grasping a plastic bottle. I didn't have time to react before she stepped forward and sprayed liquid directly onto my suit. My nostrils were filled with the pungent chemical smell. "What are you doing?" I shouted, stepping back as the bleach soaked into my clothes. "Stop dressing like a CEO," she shouted. "This is a middle-class neighborhood, not a damn catwalk for your elitist attire." The navy fabric began to whiten before my very eyes. Over $1,000 lost in seconds. And worse yet, I hadn't had time to change before the meeting. Then I saw Mr. Chen, my neighbor, in his driveway gazing. "I got all of that on my doorbell camera," he said, pointing to the lens mounted near his door. That was the moment something in me snapped. I had been patient, professional, respectful, but this crossed every line. I took a photo of my suit, called the police, and waited. 3 neighbors stopped by, offering to give statements. I was surprised. It seemed I was not Karen's sole victim. Anyone who didn't share her stern vision of the neighborhood had been similarly intimidated, though no one else had been physically assaulted. Mr. Chen transferred the video and emailed it to me. The video was quite clear, a random, deliberate assault. I called my investors and explained to them what had happened. To my surprise, they were understanding, and even more so when they had seen the photograph. The police arrived in seconds. After watching the videotape and listening to me, they marched into Karen's house. I couldn't tell what was being said, but I could see her flapping her arms around and gesturing in my direction. Minutes ticked away, and the officers came back. "She told us she was helping you get rid of a stain," one said, clearly not believing me. With the evidence in hand, I filed charges: assault, vandalism, harassment. The officers returned to her residence, and this time they came back with Karen in handcuffs. The community observed in silence as she was taken into the patrol car. Her expression was a blend of shock and shame. For one who had been accustomed to exercising unchecked authority, the reality of having real consequences finally dawned on her. 3 weeks later, I was present at the hearing court. Karen was charged with assault, malicious destruction of property, and harassment. The judge wasn't impressed with her story. She was sentenced to 6 months probation, requested to pay $1,500 in restitution for the suit, and instructed to perform 100 hours of community service. And most importantly, the judge issued a restraining order. She couldn't approach me or my property. The HOA board voted unanimously to remove her from her presidency. When the verdict was being read, Karen's face twisted. "I was standing up for the values of the neighborhood," she cried as the bailiff led her away. But nobody believed it anymore. For once, the power she had wielded to control people didn't hold, and the neighborhood slowly began to breathe again.